What is going on, guys? It's Dev. Today we got the Week 1 battle. Just real quick, I want to do some thank yous. I want to do a thank you to Ultra Tom from Twitter. He is one of my good friends, and he actually made the sick layout you're about to see. Huge shout out to my boy Andrew for making some of the little graphic adjustments. And I think that's it. Before we get into it, on the right-hand side, possibly, will be in the team section for my opponent, Mr. Wyatt, and the LA Landorus. Will be the predicted team that I expect him to bring. Anyway, yeah, we're going to go ahead and get into the battle. Alright, what is up, guys? Stab is here, and today we got the Week 1 battle from the GPL, the Global Pokemon League. It is my, not backup league, but my fun league that I participate in along with the NPL. And this week we're facing our opponent, Wyatt. He is bringing a very threatening team. Basically, he brought pretty much everything I expected to bring. Before this goes up, we should have a little preview segment that I'll record in a second, but nice little fourth wall right there. But anyway, yeah, he pretty much brought everything I expected him to bring. I thought that Hazard Stack would be a potential strategy he could use, which is why I think the Ferrothorn is there. He did bring Mamoswine, which I was kind of threatened by. He has a Hydreigon. I'm hoping a Scarf because that's the one I plan for. Manaphy is just a general threat to my team. He did not bring Mega Metagross. That is something I noticed right away in this battle. Mega Metagross plus Hydreigon pretty much wrecked my team, so thankfully he didn't bring it. He does have the Miltank there. Based on the team he has out right now, the strategy was going into the game to weaken the Hydreigon, get rid of Miltank, and then sweep with Arcanine. If you guys saw the team builder, you know that we're bringing a pretty heat Arcanine set. Not as good as the one we first brought, but I discussed that in team builder. If you guys are too lazy to watch the team builder, basically we were bringing threats on my team. We got Life Orb Greninja, Defense Cresselia, a Life Orb Adamant, Jolly to outspeed Mamoswine, Excadrill, a Specs Heliolisk, a Scarfhoopa, and Mr. Arcanine himself. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the battle. I'm going to lead off Excadrill just because it takes pretty much, it takes on pretty much anything he can go for, except for this. I could have gone for Iron Head and easily killed this, but I didn't want it to be a Sash lead Mamoswine, so I make the safe switch out into Cresselia as he goes straight for the Earthquake. He had really no reason not to because Cresselia can't really touch Mamoswine if he, should he have stayed anyway and gone for something else. I'm going to double out, not double, but just plain switch out in Greninja. He goes for Toxic, which is pretty interesting. I was not expecting a Toxic Mamoswine. So that is going to rack up, but I can just fire off a Scald and knock him down to a Sash. He didn't end up being Focus Sash, so that's good. I also get the burn. It didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, like at all, because he is going to get a decent amount of damage off with the Earthquake, but he'll go down to the burn. If he wasn't burned, I did outspeed him anyway, so I could have just clicked Scald again. Mamoswine goes down, so the Sacred Fire are leading off the season with a quick 6-5 lead. He goes out to Ferrothorn here, and I'm going to save Greninja and pull a switch out into my Excadrill, I believe. He can't really do anything bar Power Whip, but I do have some bulk invested, so he shouldn't be able to do very much. He actually goes straight for the knockoff. I do lose my Life Orb, so I do lose a little bit of offensive power right there, but that's not too big a deal. We didn't want him to go for Power Whip and kill this. He goes straight out into Hydreigon, expecting Scarf. I'm actually going to stay in because I don't think he would go for Fire Blast in case I was intimidated. Flash Fire Arcanine. He actually goes for Dark Pulse, and this is where we learn that he is actually a Specs variant because the Star variant Hydreigon to Excadrill did like 38 to 44 or 5%. That killed from 73%. That's power, and we now know that he's Specs, which is actually more dangerous than the Scarf variant. So we're in for the long haul here. I'm going to switch out into Greninja. I do outspeed this because he's definitely not Choice Scarf. It is enough to scare him out with the Ice Beam as he goes straight into his Miltank. Based on how this Miltank actually takes his Ice Beam, we know that he is pretty much more than likely to be specially defensive, and I believe I just go for a Scald, knowing that regardless of what move he hits me with or toxic damage will take me out next turn. I go for Scald. Unfortunately, I don't get the burn. The burn on the Miltank would have been very nice. As you're going to see here, that damage is pretty much all for naught, as he actually does go for the Milk Drink, I believe. Yeah, he goes for the Milk Drink. After Leftovers, he's going to be basically up at full, and we're just going to go ahead and go out to our Arcanine. Yeah, Arcanine. I decide that my best play is just to go straight for the Flare Blitz, I believe, as he goes out to his Aromatisse. Now, based on how the Aromatisse takes this, well, actually, I go straight for close combat. I forgot about that. Go straight for close combat. It would have killed the Miltank easily because I am attack invested, and he was a specially defensive variant. Aromatisse eats the hit because it's bulky, but it doesn't eat it that well. And as you see, this Flare Blitz does a fuck ton. And unfortunately, because we're Life Orb, we're going to be taking Life Orb plus Flare Blitz recoil. He goes for a Wish here. I believe I expect him to Protect on the next turn and go ahead and switch out, which I actually do. Switch out to my Heliolisk as he goes for Protect. Now, we are Choice Specs, so he actually does a pretty good play here and goes for the Protect twice to see what I'm going to lock myself into. I don't think even a Specs Thunderbolt can kill, so my best bet is to use Volt Switch for momentum and go ahead and get the switch out into probably Hooper or Cresselia. As you're going to see here, I go for Volt Switch. He knows I'm locked in, or at least suspects it. And speaking of specs, we're going to fire off that Volt Switch. We get a huge crit here. The crit may have mattered just in the fact that we would force the Aromatisse to go for another Wish later on. But we're going to go out to Arcanine. And I believe he sets up a Wish, and I just click Flare Blitz because at that range of health, he would have died to pretty much anything. And I guess I could have predicted what was going to happen here in the switch out into Manaphy. Now, based on what happens in this battle later, you can argue that it was a misplay and they should have just kept spamming Wish Protect. But really all this Wish does is heal off the rocks damage that the Manaphy takes on the switch in. Now, I could have predicted the fire, but the Ferrothorn to come in and gone for the Flare Blitz, but unfortunately I don't. I go for the safe Wild Charge in case he stayed in thinking that he could take one. I am going to get hit by Iron Barbs, Flare Blitz recall, and Life Orb recall slowly and, well, not slowly, but quickly layering down this Arcanine. He goes out to Aromatisse just to sack it. I do go for Flare Blitz this time, so it was a pretty good play on his part just to wear me down even further. Arcanine does pick up the KO on Aromatisse, so that is a wall out of the way, so that's fine. Here he goes into Ferrothorn, and it's pretty obvious that all he's trying to do is kill my Arcanine. At this point, we've got kind of a problem because in order to win, what can happen if we get a little bit more damage on the Manaphy is we're going to have to hit 5 Focus Blasts in a row with Scarf Hoopa and hopefully win the game that way. I am going to go out to Heliolisk as he will go out to his Hydreigon. I am going to Volt Switch knowing that it's Specs and there's no way in hell he can outspeed me. At this point, what is nice is that Helios does confirmed outspeed everything on his team because he has no Scarf. Now, going to Cresselia, basically to sack this and get a free switch. He's going to go for Dark Pulse here. He gets a crit. It mattered in the context of Cresselia could have taken one, but because our only offensive move is Psyshock and the fact that we don't outspeed him anyway, it basically didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But now he's in range thanks to rocks and thanks to that little bit of Volt Switch damage to easily die to Hyper Voice. Now he brings in this Miltank, and here's where we can actually win. It was looking scary for a while. He had the upper hand for most of this game, but basically Hyper Voice 2-hit KOs this. He does not get the paralysis with Body Slam. I don't think he can even get the paralysis with Body Slam because I'm an electric type. But this will be an easy 2-hit KO. I don't know if he wasn't fully specially defensive or that's just how powerful Specs Hyper Voice is. And either way, the Miltank is going down to 2 of those. And his last Pokemon is Manaphy. Now, the play here is just to sack Hoopa, come back in, lock myself into Thunderbolt, and click Thunderbolt probably 2 times based on his bulk and win the game. Now, scary moment right here. He goes for Ice Beam on the switch and actually picks up the freeze. And as you're going to see here, more worry, we're not out of the woods yet, guys, because he's actually going to go for the sub. Now, I was fearing sub Calm Mind. Granted, because we do outspeed him, I wasn't too worried because even at +1, I'm pretty sure you couldn't kill this anyway. As you're going to see here, his only move to hit Heliolisk because of my Dry Skin ability is going to be the Ice Beam itself. Break the sub right there with the Specs Thunderbolt easily. He goes for Ice Beam, does not knock me out, and he does not get the freeze, allowing me to easily click Thunderbolt again and pick up the 2-0 victory. So welcome to the league. This is going to be a very competitive year. I hope this is somewhat of an indication of the games to come. Nice and powerful games, great opponents, and some good games. Shout out to Wyatt. He didn't really make any bad plays. You can argue back and forth about if he should have stayed in with Aromatisse or not. But it's pretty much as soon as he went out to Hydreigon and I was able to get that extra damage off, we did set ourselves up for a pretty easy win. Had he brought the Mega Metagross and been Specs Hydreigon, I would have had a much harder time just because his power in that scenario would have been so much higher than mine. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this battle, please leave a like. If you didn't like it, please leave a dislike and tell me how I can improve future battles on the channel and content overall. Anyway, I'm Stab, and I will see you guys next week with another battle. Well, not next week because there will be more content prior to then, but you get the idea. See you.